guys, it's Deborah Costu. I am so glad that you are here. I am so glad and happy to be here for you. I do this for you because I've been in your shoes. I know what it's like. I have been in so many people's shoes. So I have taught about these scripts and techniques for getting results from your person with dementia. I have been teaching this for nearly 2 decades. I can't believe I'm saying that. But I've lived it personally, professionally. I've helped thousands and thousands of families just like you, thousands of medical professionals just like you to get results. And I'm so happy that you're here today. Do me a favor, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. That will just alert you when there is new material available and you won't miss anything going forward. I am also going to ask you to please look up my most popular or my oldest videos when you're doing your search on my channel, because most of my favorite shows were my earliest stuff. So please look those up and watch them. You're going to learn so much about this disease and how to care for your person with dementia. It's literally going to blow your mind. If you want more, I also have a book called Forget Me Not. The foreword was written by Dr. Sharon Brangman, the chief geriatrics at SUNY Upstate Hospital in Syracuse, New York. Thank you, Dr. Sharon Brangman. This is a #1 bestseller. It became a bestseller within 3 months of being out and published. I published it on my mother's birthday. It's a great book. It's a great resource. It's a very easy read. It's been saving lives left and right, saving relationships left and right. So get a copy of Forget Me Not. There should be a link below. You can get it on Amazon or wherever books are sold. I also have for you free, who doesn't love free, on my website. I don't have it with me. You know what? Let me show you this one. I have this really great PDF for you. This is available in my free resources section. There's something there for everyone. In the free resources section, I have this. It's called What Triggers Me. This is an amazing, amazing little one-sheeter. This will tell you lots and lots of things that trigger a person with dementia. And when you read this, you might really, you will really connect to it. And maybe when you're having a bad day and things just aren't going very well for you or your person with dementia, give this a quick read. This is a very quick read. It's basically a list, and this will put things into perspective for you very, very quickly. But go to the website, answersabout.alz.org. There's a link below to get your free resource. And if this one doesn't suit your fancy, there's about, I don't know, maybe 15 more under the free resources tab. So there's something for everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about 7 different challenges that a person with cognitive decline is dealing with in their brain. So these are 7 different challenges that we're going to talk about, and some of them may surprise you. And because most people, when they think of dementia, they think of memory loss. And dementia is so much more than just memory loss. It involves all of the 5 senses can be distorted and all of the different parts of the brain, because the brain literally does everything. Everything. When you think about it, it's how we move. It's what we smell and how we see things. It's our interpretations. It's language. It's memory. It's things we've seen before, recognizing objects that we've seen before, recognizing what an object's purpose is, recognizing our own body parts. I mean, it goes on and on and on, right? How we perceive the world around us, how we perceive other people, how we recognize people that we've seen before from the past, right? Our emotions, right? our bodily functions, our heart beating, our bowels moving, how we walk. Everything is controlled by our brain. And we tend to forget that when we think about Alzheimer's or dementia or other diseases, we kind of just think about memory, right? So I want to talk to you about 7 challenges that people can have with Alzheimer's disease. And there's way more than 7, by the way. So please don't say, oh, there's more than 7. Obviously, there's more than 7. It's like a gazillion. But I want to talk to you about these 7. And I'm hoping that some of them will surprise you. And by the way, if you wouldn't mind, put in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. We have had people literally from all over the world that are viewing our channel. And please subscribe. Did I already ask you to subscribe? I don't know. Anyway, please subscribe if you haven't already. All right, so 7 challenges. The first challenge that I want to talk about today is processing speed. So, you know how people are always saying, slow down. You have to slow down for your person with dementia. You have to slow down. Things are going too fast. But our processing speed is affected as we age. And when we get older, our processing speed just naturally, not even with dementia, can become up to 1.5 times slower than that of younger adults. So then when you add on the piece of Alzheimer's or dementia, our processing speed really, really, really expands. So for instance, feeling pain, like if you were to put a tack on your finger, the processing speed of feeling that pain could be up to 1.5 times slower or even more for a person with dementia. So our reaction times are slower. Touching a hot stove, right? Recoiling from pain. Another one would be solving a problem. It could take us way longer to solve a problem because our processing speed is a lot slower. But usually, if we give the person with dementia enough time to process, because we tend to interrupt or we re-say it, right? We say it a different way, hoping that they'll catch what we're saying. So what we're actually doing is interrupting that processing, and then they have to start over again. So when other trainers are always saying, slow down, that's what they mean. They're talking about processing speed. The person with dementia needs a lot more time to process the information. Okay, number 2, the second challenge is memory. So there's a couple different types of memory. There's procedural memory and working memory. And procedural memory are things that you've done or experienced over a long, long, long period of time. So that would be like riding a bike. You learned it very young, most of us, and you've repeated it for many, 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 many years. Brushing your teeth, tying your shoes. These are things that are procedural memories. So they're things that we've repeated over and over and over and over and over, and they don't really require much thought. They're kind of almost more automatic, right? So you and I, we don't really think about tying our shoes when we tie our shoes. We're thinking, oh, we have to get out the door and I have to tie the other one, right? So those are burned into our long-term memory. How to do these things. They're very repetitive. We've done them over and over. That is procedural memory. The other one is called working memory. And working memory, with age and dementia, working memory becomes affected. Our working memory is more the ability to temporarily store information long enough to use it, and then it disappears. So our working memory it's like working right now at this moment, working, and then it's gone. So like when you're doing something and they send a code to your phone and you have to remember it long enough to go back to that website and put it in, and then it disappears. That would be a perfect example of your working memory. So it's just more like quick, and as soon as you use it and you don't need it anymore, it's gone. You can't retrieve it again. It's just gone. The next challenge I want to talk about is attention. And attention is the ability to focus in order to process information. And also attention is that a person with dementia, they can't like divide their attention between multiple things, right? So they can't like listen to a bunch of conversations and talk on the phone, or they can't hear all these noises in the bathroom and take instructions on how to take a shower. So they have a hard time focusing in order to process information. And it's attention. It's also much, much easier for them to lose focus on things and lose their train of thoughts. So that would be the third challenge is like their attention, like keeping their attention, right? And they lose their focus, and they stop kind of thinking of what they were processing. The next challenge is language. And this one I think is probably what most of you are pretty common with, right? Pretty knowledgeable about is the problem with language with a person with dementia. But it's not just, it's how they understand and how they use language, both spoken and written. So that's why they might not be able to read a book anymore, follow along a TV show anymore, because it's almost like they're listening to someone in a foreign language that they don't understand. So they don't understand speech, and the ability for them to speak and form their own words, forms full sentences, is affected, and maybe finding the right word. So there's a lot that goes around the challenge of language. It's the message received, it's the message that is sent, it's understanding and the use of language, all put together. Very, very difficult. The next challenge, number 5, is one of my favorites. It's executive functioning. This is our mental abilities and our mental agility. So it's kind of like it's more complicated tasks, and it involves our abstract thinking, which is really cool. This is where a lot of caregivers kind of struggle, right? Because this is when we're trying to convince them to see something from a different perspective, and they can't do that. They don't they can't imagine or predict an outcome. And that's where convincing comes in, right? Because you're trying to convince them about an outcome, but they're not able to do that because of their executive functioning. It also, they also can't see things from another perspective. They can't put themselves in someone else's shoes. Very fascinating. So that's all around executive functioning and abstract thinking. The next challenge, number 6, is the emotional processing. And this is where somebody with dementia, this is their ability to regulate their emotions. So they may not be responding correctly emotionally. And as we age, we react less and we recover quicker. But a person with dementia, they often can't react to emotions, or their emotions may come out in exaggerated or strange ways. So emotional processing can get very, very screwed up. So that was number 6 of our 7 challenges. So now we're coming up to the 7th challenge, and I'm just going to remind you quickly, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. So number 7 is making memories. Making memories. Because in order to remember something, we have to store it, file it away, and then we have to retrieve it later, right? So memory is how well your brain stores, recalls, and reuses information. So think of making memories as like a big filing cabinet. Think of your brain as just files after files after files after files after files. Now imagine that there's a fire and some of those file cabinets were affected. So maybe the lock melted and you can't open that drawer to access that file anymore. You can't pull that information out. That's a dead brain cell, or an area of the brain that is dead. The tissue has actually died. So think of that file cabinet was on fire and some of that stuff was burned and you can't access it any longer because it's just gone. So the hippocampus is, in Alzheimer's disease in particular, is one of the first areas affected by Alzheimer's disease, is the hippocampus. But the hippocampus dissects our information. So when the information comes into the brain, the hippocampus dissects that information and it decides where it's going to be stored in the brain, because we know that different parts of the brain do different things, right? So let's say you're at an event, you're at a wedding, it's a beautiful sunny day, you can smell the flowers, you feel the breeze, everybody is dressed gorgeous, you're having a good time, you're there with your family. These are all different bits of information, right? You're in another state, you notice the weather, you notice how it smells, you know who you're with, the people you're with, you know the date and the time and the season. These are all different parts of information, and they're stored in different parts of your brain. So the hippocampus takes this information in, and what it does is it delegates and dissects the information and sends it to the different file cabinets within your brain. Is that cool? Put down, that's cool. That's cool if you like that, because I think it's fascinating. So you remember what the day felt like. You remember the people you were with. You remember the emotions. And those are all stored in different parts of your brain for that particular event. So in the future, when you're remembering this event of this wedding on this day that was in this place with these people, and it smelled and it felt like this and it felt like that, your hippocampus draws everything together and puts that whole memory together for you from all these different parts of your brain. Now, if your hippocampus is damaged, or if any particular part of your brain is damaged, had that little fire in it, it's not going to be able to pull that information out. So that's why your person with dementia is having so many problems, because they have these challenges, and they have so many more challenges than that. And as the caregivers, the responsibility falls on us to relieve their burden of suffering. And if you'd like to join me for my course and learn how to relieve this burden of suffering for not only your person with dementia, but also for you and your entire family, and you'd like to get your life back, book a call with me. I can get you there in 4 short days. It's easy. Anyone can do it, and it's guaranteed. So I'm Debra Costu. I hope you enjoyed this video about the 7 challenges, because I think they're super important. And I hope that you found this information very interesting. If you did, drop me a comment. Let me know what you thought. And if there's something else you'd like to learn about, let me know, because sometimes this is where I get my best ideas, are from you. So hit the subscribe button. I'm Debra Costu. Thank you for joining me today. Visit often. And again, look up some of those older videos. You'll be glad you did. I'll see you next time. Together we can.